Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, I'm Courtney Ann, and Happy New Year. This is all the books that I want to read in 2026. The pile is literally so large I could like rest my head on it sitting down. Yeah, we got quite a bit of books to get through. So actually 4 of these I'm already in the middle of, so they're just being included because I want to finish them in 2026. So I thought I would go through all the different books, maybe give some other people inspiration for their TBR, like why I want to read these books, you know, and also motivate myself to actually like read. I feel like if I put it online, then I'm like held accountable, you know, to actually finish all these books in 2026. So let me actually like, I didn't count these, I read 30 books this year, but this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That one actually, there's technically a 4th book that I want to buy that just came out, but I'm waiting until it's in a paperback. So, what was I? Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm going to count 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I don't own the other 2 for this series. So, 19, 20, 21, 22. There's another one for that series. So, 23, and that's 24. So, not too bad. Obviously, this TBR is probably going to be added to. I've been already looking at books online. There's one that was, oh my gosh, I think it's something Beautiful Creatures, and it's about a relationship between a woman and an octopus, and like just like their whole little friendship, and it sounds so cute, so I've been wanting to read that. And then I've been looking at those like 101 things I learned in architecture school, Architecture for Dummies, and I've been wanting to read those. So like there's a lot online that I've been adding to my Goodreads and like looking at. Also a few books where I'm venturing out a lot more into nonfiction, which like I still read nonfiction. I read a lot of memoirs, but I didn't read as many, I guess, like informational books about like certain things like going on in the world right now, and I've been more interested recently in reading that. So I was looking at some books in those that I've been interested in, so hopefully I will get around to it. What were some other ones? Oh, philosophy and astronomy. So The Good Place, I've talked about this before on here, but The Good Place is like my favorite TV show of all time. So there's a book in there called What Do We Owe to Each Other, and I want to read it because it's mentioned like heavily in The Good Place. So I'd love to read that one. And then there's one that's literally called The Good Place and Philosophy, and it kind of like uses The Good Place to explain a lot of like themes in philosophy, like nihilism, stuff like that, right? So that would be really interesting to read. Also, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, so I do apologize. So I always like, I'm taking AP Euro right now, and of course we talk about like a lot of major philosophers that were like, you know, like in our units during Enlightenment, right, in that era, and like the Romanticism era. Like we'll talk a lot about like philosophers and like their impact, downfall, you know, whatever, right? And like whenever they mention someone that I know, like I get so happy because I feel so smart, but I only know it was The Good Place. So there's a few books that were mentioned in The Good Place that I would love to like actually get to read. But I'm yapping way too much about books that I don't even know, like I don't even own yet. I just put them in like my little, I have a journal. It's like journal like all of like my book reviews, and it has like a little part for your wish list, so they're all just in there and they're all on my Goodreads. Like I don't even own them yet, so there's no saying if I will be able to read them this year or not. I've also been really wanting to read, sorry, just real quick before I'm done, get into Stephen King. I've never read Stephen King before, but I just went and watched The Running Man with my mom, like the 2025 one with Glenn Powell, a few weeks ago when it first came out in theaters, and it was so good. I absolutely loved it, so I'm wanting to read the book. And I was looking at some of these other books, and I found a few other interesting ones. And then me and my friend Morgan just yesterday went to Half Price Books, did some book shopping, and we were talking about both reading a Stephen King novel together that we could then watch the movie for. So we were talking about reading Misery, and we'd both read it at the same time. Like we'd have our own copy and we could talk about it, right? And then we'd both have a sleepover and like watch the movie Misery, and like how much fun that would be. So I've been thinking about getting into Stephen King, but I don't own any of his books. Here are the physical books that I read that I own that I hope to read in the new year. So let's get into it. Okay, so I don't know what that was, but so first things first, I'm going to start with the 4 that I'm currently reading, and I can talk obviously a lot more about these than I can the rest of the books in here. I know I don't normally make book related content, but I do feel like I include it in a lot of my vlogs, so this would be a good video to do, maybe inspire some other people for some books to put on their TBR. But anywho, here are the 4 that I'm currently in the middle of, or I mean not even. So first is A Little Life. This is obviously a very popular book. It's quite thick though, which makes it a little overwhelming, and like I'm not that ambitious, you know, so I'm only I think about like 50 pages into this, maybe like 49. So far I am really enjoying it. I just, once again, it's quite a thick book. I mainly got this because everyone said it was so sad, and also there was a part where originally for AP Lang. You obviously, if you do like AP or honors in high school, normally they use some summer reading. So they actually had to pick a nonfiction book, which is why I chose my next book. But so when I found that out, I'd already got this book and I was like, well, I might as well read it, right? And then this book actually turns out that you had to pick from a specific list, so I couldn't even read that one technically, like, for school. But I feel like I enjoy books a lot more when I don't have to read them for school. But this one had great reviews. Once again, everyone's been talking about this book for years. It's been my TBR for a while. I believe it's about these 4 men who are all friends and live in New York together and like their lives. So I'm obviously still very early into the book and still like understanding a bit of, like, I don't want to say the world building, so like a magical world, but just like all the characters and stuff like that. Like, it's all still, I'm still getting into it, right? But it's supposed to be a really beautiful book. A lot of people said that they cried to it, and I just kind of wanted something sad, right? Anyway, so that's the first book that I need to finish. I also have Everything I Know About Love by I can't say her last name, I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm not even, it's an easy name, I can't say words right now, and I don't want to butcher her name completely. So this one I've actually been annotating a little bit. There's a little tab at the end. I'm not there yet. It's just because this book is so cool. She has like different recipes and like little lists in here that make me so happy, and I had so much fun reading this book. It's a memoir, so it's nonfiction, but basically just talking about like her life in her 20s and like a lot of her female friendships. Like, the reason I read it was because of this one quote that's more like, she said, everything I know about love I've learned through female friendships throughout my life, and I thought that that was so beautiful, so I really wanted to read the book. And once again, originally at the time I thought it would make a great like summer reading book, since it was nonfiction, we had to read nonfiction, and it sounded interesting. But yeah, I've obviously tabbed quite a bit of like the little lessons that I've learned throughout it, and I'm really enjoying it. But, of course, I can't, for some reason, read one book at a time, so I'm also in the middle of Maybe in Another Life. But I've always this book is actually by one of my favorite authors. I've read Malibu Rising, One True Loves, and Sometimes Villain Hugo, which Sometimes Villain Hugo, normally when people ask me, I will always say that that's my favorite book, because though I just have the top 3, I always say The Infernal Devices by Cassandra Clare, Shatter Me, and The Sometimes Villain Hugo. Like, those are like my top 3. But at the same time, Shatter Me and Infernal Devices are a series, and I don't really have a specific book in the series that is my favorite. So like, I would always say my favorite book is The Sometimes Villain Hugo. I absolutely adore it. So of course, I've been reading a lot of the other books by the author. And this is one. I thought the concept for it was really cool. This is basically a woman, if I remember correctly. I mean, I did recently read it, but I kind of forgot what was going on, and I had to like reread the past 2 chapters. And as you can tell, I'm not too far into it. I've been reading this one for a long time now. And I keep picking up new books instead of finishing it, and I really need to. But the concept for it was basically this woman who is kind of stuck with what to do in her life, and she goes back to her hometown and like sees her best friend. And I believe if you read the back of it, it was talking about like how she goes to a bar with her best friend, and she has 2 choices to either leave early with her best friend, or she sees a high school boyfriend there that she can like stay at the bar with him. And it goes through the book, like, it's alternating chapters between what her life would be like if she stayed with the high school boyfriend, like, at the bar, how her life would play out, and what would happen if she went home with the friend, right? And I think it's, like, supposed to show, like, how, like, that one small decision kind of, like, totally, like, changed her life. I'm pretty sure at the end she chooses what life she wants. I forget. Honestly, I'm not really there yet. So I only know from what I've been told by other people and, you know, what I've read so far. But I thought it was a really interesting concept. I was super excited to read it, to, like, you know, I don't know, it was different, and I was super excited. Also, I love this author so much, as I said. Sorry, I'm like totally rambling now, but that's why I started reading this, and I don't know, I'm only 116 pages into it, and it wasn't like super fast paced, so I've been struggling a little bit with it. But next book is by the same author. It's Carrie Soda is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid once again. So she actually makes an appearance in Malibu Rising, which is another book by the author that I love. So they're all like kind of in the same universe. I believe Daisy Jones and the Six, which has its own TV show, I've not read that one, but it's in the same universe along with Sometimes Villain Hugo. So you can kind of see like different characters from all 4 of those books like interact with throughout these. So I wanted to like see her whole backstory and stuff like that, since she's not really like the best person or like made to be the best person in Malibu Rising, but this was a lot more about like, so she's a famous tennis player, and it talks a lot like about how like she retired for a few years and her kind of like getting back into it. This is actually such a cute bookmark. I obviously have not read this book in a while, but I basically got like to page 85 and did not pick it back up again. So I gotta get through these and then I can start on this pile. But books that I would like to read this year, now finally getting into it. Starting off really strong is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, I believe is how you say her name. This author I feel like is pretty well known, and this book was obviously very popular for a long time on Book Talk and stuff like that. You would repeatedly see it, so I got it. And this is another one where like it is like, one thing, it's not like crazy long, but it is like what, 400 something pages, but because of like how tall it is, like this is a normal book compared to it, it obviously is longer than it appears, right? Not to mention I feel like the font in this is a bit smaller, as you can see, so it is quite a long book. I actually did like skim through this, I remember like a few years ago, and like really liked it, but I just never have got to actually like reading it. But it's basically about a woman who makes a deal with death to live forever. So I really want to read it this year. I'm hoping I can finally get around to it. It has been sitting on my bookshelf for years and years, so I hope to finally do that. Next is A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. This is obviously a classic. Sorry my copy's a bit old. My parents actually use this as like a display, like decor coffee table book, but in, like I said, one of my favorite series, The Infernal Devices, the main character Tessa Gray absolutely adores this book. So because of that, like 13-year-old me was like, oh my gosh, I have to read it. I kind of like, my parents know now. At the time I just kind of snuck it away from the decor, right? Like, I'm gonna read it at least, right? Put some use into it. Oh, this, okay, no, at first I thought it was like upside down, like printed wise, and I was like, oh my gosh. But so I'm not gonna lie, I don't know too much about it besides that. I literally just wanted to read it because the character had such a love for it that I was like, well, I love this character so much, maybe I can understand, right? So this is I've been wanting to read a little more classics. Like I have Emma by Jane Austen for a while, and that's like a book that I've been like really trying to get myself to read. That's actually not in this pile. I want to get through these first, but I'm hoping to start off with this one. Okay, don't worry guys, we're gonna get to the fantasy eventually. I actually have like literally like half of these are fantasy, but for some reason all my ones at the top were like, I don't know, this is a memoir, this is more just a sad book, this is a classic, this is kind of fantasy I guess, and then I have my mysteries right here. So that brings me to my next book. This is The Paris Apartment. I think I got this at like the grocery store or something, so I thought it was interesting. I actually have another book by her called The Guest List that I also need to read. They both seem to have like a very similar concept of like, you know, like there's all these suspects who you're trying to figure out like who committed this crime, right? But I don't know too much about this. Once again, I got it quite a while ago. I was just wanting like to read a few mysteries, and I have not read a mystery book, like a thriller book, in so long. Like generally I don't think I've read one since maybe middle school or beginning of high school, and I'm now a junior, about to go into her second semester of junior year, right? It's like I would love to get back into mystery. It has been once again quite a while, and this book isn't like super intimidating, I don't think. So okay, I don't want to spoil anything. I was just trying to look at how long it was, but yeah, I don't know. That's just another book in the review. So another one that goes with that, that's another, I'm pretty sure this is a mystery or like more like thriller, is The Housemaid. This obviously just had the movie come out. I've heard a lot of people say that the book is much better though, which I mean, as a reader I can't conclude that is normally true. But I've heard a lot about this one. Once again, I don't know too much about it besides it's about a housemaid, like but I've seen the trailer for the movie. I have not yet seen the movie. I really want to read the book first. Once again, this is obviously a very popular, like well-known, I would say, at least on social media, like thriller or more like suspense, like mystery book, you could say, is my best way to put it. So to go with that, I would love to read this book, especially since the movie just came out, so everyone's been talking about it, so I need to get to this. But obviously first I have quite a bit to go through. Okay, next, this one isn't super popular. It's called Home Again. I remember this one has, again, been on my TBR for quite a while now. And when I say quite a while, I mean like years, y'all. Like, because I have some books in here, like if I don't say quite a while, it's because I got it within this year. But this one I just remember, I don't remember now because it's once again been a while, but I read the back of it and thought it was kind of interesting, like concept. So this is like, normally a lot of my books I will see recommended multiple times, or like there is like a friend recommended me, I saw it like heavily online everywhere. I saw a quote and I was like, well now I need it, right? I saw fan art and I really want it now, or like a character in a book like really liked it, so I had to get it, right? Like there's always like that big reason. This one literally, like I don't know, I never do that where like I just read the back of the book and I'm like, now I want it. Like, I will do that, obviously. Like, after I see something online or a friend recommends it to me, I will go on Goodreads and I will look at all the reviews, and if the reviews convince me, right? Alright, well, let me get this straight. I do, like, read the synopsis, but normally, for me to read a book, it takes, like, someone recommending it to me, or, like, there has to be, like, some, like, you know, different thing for me to read a book. Like, I don't normally just read a book just because of the synopsis. Like, it takes a little more than that, right? So this is one of the books where it was mainly purely off the synopsis. I also recognize the author. Pretty sure she wrote Nightingale, or yeah, Nightingale was a popular book by her that a lot of people were recommending. I didn't find that one. I found this one, and I thought the back of it sounded really interesting, so I am quite excited to read it. It's called Home Again. Anywho, moving on from that, this is not my typical read, but I mentioned before that I do study architecture at my school, or the school in my district that I shuttle to, and once again, I love architecture. I'd love to do something. I don't have like a specific like career in there, but just something within that pathway I would love to do when I'm older. So this had some like beautiful Gothic architecture, like literally floor plans, designs in here that I thought were just so stunning. Like, there's so many cathedrals in here I'm absolutely obsessed with. So I just got this actually yesterday. Yeah. And I'm so excited to read it. It's English architecture. Yeah, pretty simple. I found it at half-price books and I was like, that's amazing. So I'm so excited. I honestly wish I could have got more yesterday, but like, my bookshelf's getting quite full, so I don't know if I exactly have the room for that. Anywho, next, this is a part of a series by one of my favorite authors. So I read Shadow Me by her, which, like I was saying earlier, is one of my favorite series. So same author as that, but she went, so Shadow Me is more of a dystopian, this is more fantasy. This one is another one where, like, I kind of skimmed through it a bit, and I really enjoyed these two, the second, like, the third and the fourth one, or, sorry, second and the third one. The fourth one just came out, and I haven't got it yet, because, like, all my other ones are paperbacks, and I feel so awkward having 3 paperbacks and, like, the hardcover, but that's all that's in store right now, so I'm waiting to get it. But anywho, these ones I've been putting off more because I've heard the first one is really hard to get through. After that, the series was to pick up immensely, and I can tell you from the few quotes I've read, I'm obsessed with it. I absolutely love it, and I really, really want to read it. But this one is a fantasy, by the way, so it's fantasy world. I kind of forgot, it's been a while. I kind of forgot some of the plot of it, so I'm just skimming through the back of it right now. But, once again, it's the first book, so I've been thinking about, like, audiobooking this one, and then just reading the other two. We'll see. I do hope to get around to this, because once again, I absolutely adore Shadow Me, and some people saying that, like, who used to claim Shadow Me was, like, the best book ever, or whatever, right? Which I still believe it is. But who said that this was somehow better than that. So, and I trust those people's opinions. So here is the full series. I just got this, I want to say, over spring break. This has been long overdue for me to read it, but I did just get this on spring break, so that's been on my TBR for long before that. I remember even when I was reading Shadow Me, like, this would always be, like, on, like, the cover in it, like, a sticker where it's, like, read the new book, right? So I'm glad that these are getting a little more popularity, so it's convincing me to read it a little more. But moving away from fantasy, I just got this for my birthday. It's Normal People by Sally Rooney. This is another one that was super popular. I also feel like it's not, like, too long of a read, you know, it's quite tiny but mighty book, hopefully. So I am quite excited about this one. I also I feel like the colors on the cover were quite pretty, so I like that. But what really, like, I thought was interesting was that there's no quotation points in here to show. I thought it was, like, the disconnect between the two main characters, and I don't know, it sounded really interesting. This is obviously a very, very popular book. I remember when I was younger, so at least, like, in 2021, I don't know, I remember seeing this on Pinterest, like, on the reposted TikToks, like, all the time. So I finally got it, and I've been super excited to read it. I also like something that could help me get out of my reading slump, maybe. I've also heard some bad reviews on it, so that kind of, like, pushes me back and has scared me from it. I also hate there's 2 permanent stickers on my copy, so, like, the universe hates me. But wait, actually, oh, I thought it wasn't permanent for a second, but yeah, like, so that's kind of ruining my mood. But okay, sorry, I, like, just built this, so I have to be more careful. Which reminds me, oh my gosh, I painted these little, so this is a mud kitchen for my Gold Award. For my Gold Award, I'm building, like, this little outdoor space for, like, helping to improve the outdoor space at a women's home by doing a little mud kitchen, a little picnic table that has, like, a sandbox on top for kids, and then I'm also doing a little reading library and a reading nook for, like, everyone there. So today I painted some of, like, the fake food for the mud kitchen, and I think it turned out so cute. This is technically the oven my mom reminded me, but we got this off Amazon, and it took like 7 hours to build this, but hey, I did it. So I think maybe it was 8, I honestly don't remember. But yeah, so I do need to be more careful about this. I mean, it's sturdy, but I still gotta paint it and everything, so yeah. Anywho, next is Such a Fun Age. This one I generally forget the genre. I just remember thinking the back was interesting when I read it. So this is another one that I got purely because of the synopsis. So I would need to like reread this. I think it was supposed to show like themes of racism, I believe. And like it was kind of like a woman like realizing, like, if anyone has seen The Green Book, if you know that movie, it's basically, I absolutely adore it. My grandma watched it, I want to say back in August this year. I got to watch it for the first time. She had already seen it. But sorry, so in The Green Book, it's basically set in, I'm pretty sure it's like the 20th century, but like early, maybe 20, I don't have the exact timeline, I'm not gonna lie. But it's basically this Italian, like poor Italian guy who gets hired as a driver for a black pianist, like a little bit after Civil War, I believe, and they're going down more south to perform his shows, and he gets to kind of like, it's really eye-opening for him, and like it shows like their whole friendship, and it's so cute to like, you know, watch their friendship grow. But it also, like, I think I like that like it doesn't sugarcoat things. Like I feel like there's, at least in my opinion, because I feel like there's a lot of movies, especially like when this one doesn't obviously concern war, but like a lot of war movies, like they definitely like, can sugarcoat stuff. And like, don't get me wrong, that's great that like, you know, like it's not like super violent or anything like that, but I feel like this one like didn't super sugarcoat it and was like a little more, I'm trying to think of like a better word, but maybe like just blunt, you know, for like the actual like impact that this had. And like, I don't know, it's really eye-opening for the driver to like see what the pianist goes through. There's also The Green Book, which I'm pretty sure was like an actual thing back then, and like all these like rules that he had to follow, certain hotels that he could like stay at that were only for black people, or people of color, right? So this book was one where I believe, if I'm reading the back right, because this one was one that I kind of got like that same thing that shows like a little more of, like the racism and like issues with that. It was like, I think could be more eye-opening about like how, I don't know, there's, once again, it doesn't like sugarcoat it, and I would hope that this book doesn't do that, right, in my opinion at least. So if I believe it's, yeah, so oh my gosh, sorry, I'm so bad with names. It's Emery Tucker is confronted while watching the Chamberlain's toddler one night in the aisles of a high-end supermarket. The store's security guard, seeing a young black woman out late with a white child, accuses her of kidnapping. A small crowd gathers, bystander films everything, and she's like furious and humiliated. And then the woman who was like having her like babysit for her, or like nanny for her, is trying to resolve to make things right. So it's kind of like her like trying to help her out of this basically, and then it's supposed to show more about her past. So I thought that could be really interesting and eye-opening. I've also heard like, I've seen this recommended a few times, not like a super amount. I didn't really see it recommended until after I already got it, but that's influenced me more to read it, so I do hope to read it this year. And I've been looking forward to reading it for quite a while now. But next is one where I actually meant to read this December, but I did not get around to it because I was reading a few longer books that were taking me quite some time. So, but this is the Mere Visitor series. There's actually 4 books, but I only own the first 2 at the moment. But look how devastatingly beautiful these are. Because I mean, like, who wouldn't want to read a book with a flying castle on the cover? So these ones I remember I used to see online all the time. The main character is supposed to be like super cute and kind of like more quirky, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly. So a lot of people would talk about like how great the characters in these are and the world building for these books is. Ugh, like I'm losing my grammar. But I see them recommended on Pinterest a lot when I was younger, and I just never got around to reading them, and now I finally have like at least the first 2. So I've like been looking at Barnes & Nobles and I cannot find, because there's a green and a purple one I'm pretty sure after this for the 3rd and 4th book. Have not been able to find them. But I will say they are obviously, they're a bit ambitious reads, they're a bit longer. So that's probably one of the reasons I've been putting them off, is because I've been kind of a reading slump. I've been like trying to slowly ease my way out of that. Even though I chose to read a 1,000-page book when I was trying to get around, I don't know what I was doing. Anywho, but I am like 800 something pages into that, so like I'm almost done, guys. But yeah, so I've been wanting to read those books, and finally getting to almost the end of my physical books I want to read this year. See how this pile is now shorter than this one? But I have The Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole, I believe. Yeah. So I used to actually follow this author and like love, because she used to do those ones where she was like, this is what I think it would be like to be the assistant of the villain, and she's like act out her characters and choose her like a little part of her book. And I just saw it, she was such like a freaking cutie patootie. Like I loved her videos so much. Like she was just such a sunshine, right, like person. So I just know her books are going to be adorable. So I got this one at the school that I shuttle to. My school for some reason doesn't get a book fair. The other school gets all the cool stuff, but they had a book fair. So during architecture I asked my teacher if I could go in there, and she's like, yeah, go ahead. Like, love her. But so I got the second book, and once it looks so cute, so I'm super excited to read it. And then with that, afterwards I realized, oh my gosh, I accidentally got the second one before reading the first one. So I found this masterpiece at Target, and my mother, love her so much, got it for me for Christmas. So just look how beautiful this book is. Like, it's so pretty, and then not to mention, like, I'm in love. So these ones, like, I've been wanting to read since before they came out. So I'm super excited that I finally have my hands on them. I'm actually pretty sure there's a third one, so maybe I'll get around to reading that. We shall see. But I'm happy to start with these two. Okay, and finally, final book of the giant selection we have here. As you can see, my pile is now almost as tall as my ring light. But I just got this yesterday from Half Price Books. It's the Atlas 6. I'm pretty sure it's about 6 different magicians. I've heard great things about this author and this book specifically, so I've been wanting to read it for a while. I don't know too much about it, I'm not gonna lie, but I've just seen it so heavily recommended. So at some point, I was just like, if this many people like it, it must be worth it. So I got it, and what's in it is, once again, like, quite tall compared to, I guess, my other books. But yeah, so those are all the books that I hope to read in 2026. Hopefully by this time next year, I will be making a similar video to this that's talking about like all the books I read in 2026, and you'll see these books again, and I can give more of like my thoughts of what I thought about them. Hopefully that inspired some people to add to their TBR. Of course, I'm not including my graphic novels or my comics in this, because I do kind of consider those to be like a bit separate. And I didn't want this video to be too long since I'm losing so much storage right now. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'm wishing everyone a great 2026.